I have to say, Pastor Bud, today's sermon really touched me. I totally understand the bamboo illustration. It took us 40 years to rid the bamboo out at the farm. But you know, Roundup does work. And fire. So I want to say that we are, as Pastor Bud, in one of his points, we are a group of very hopeful people, obviously, that are here today. We're hopeful for the future. We're hopeful for the, and privileged to be able to, this year and however long it takes, to call not only a worship director, but a worship pastor. I mean, this is going to be a phenomenal year. And it's wonderful to be able to move out of our COVID situation and maybe possibly be a little more open and closer to each other as we go through the year. So last year was something that at least for myself I want to forget about, but we are moving forward, and the food is here now. So why don't we break for that? And let's get the sandwiches going, and let's do that, then we'll come right back. And as we're eating, we're going to continue with this meeting. So, all right. Do we have to dismiss by tables or what? Go for it. I think these guys right here should be first. be up here too?
Yeah, I'll just sit right here.
I'll block the camera. He's got it aimed for the, yeah.
I'll stay over here then. Let me turn this off.
He wants you in the frame. He wants you in the frame, so.
Like being the voice from off stage.
Yeah.
Be the voice from the tune.
Andy's going to come up and do the for the raw for the pastoral team. He wants to do that.
Okay.
So we're going to start with the worship
Okay.
arts first.
You still. I'll get online and make sure we have questions I ask. You go to back me up on it too.
Well, welcome back, church. Looks like we're all very quiet at the moment, so I know we're eating. So that's a good thing. So we're going to move forward with our informational meeting here. Again, this is not a business meeting. This is something we're just going to this is a meeting we're going to just throw out, share information, look forward to the future, and move through a couple things that you have your handout. But first of all, I want to introduce our council. The ones that are here, I think we are all here. Down here, I have Andy Danbaum. Yeah. Lloyd Erlinson. Danny Avila, Gwen Schultz, Sue Roost, She's just going to wave from where she's at. And who am I missing? Oh, Andrew Postma up in the sound booth. And Dick Claus is not here. So, oh, and Dave Ward, I'm sorry. David Ward is another absent member. So, thank you for all of, thank you, council. And my name is Wade Fulmer, in case some of you don't know. I got the short straw, I guess, as far as the chair this year. So, I'm learning as I go. So, bear with me. We are going to start with information on the Director of Worship Arts. We're going to give the you've had the packet in front of you. I hope you've had a chance to look at a few of those things. This is our the position outline, which is pretty involved. And so it's something that we're really looking forward to. A person we're looking forward to bringing online here this year soon, and we're also taking names as far as who might be on that search committee. And I think quite a few names have been submitted. Am I right, Bud? Bud has had a number of names given, so we will at the next council meeting, I'm sure. Go through those names and choose the team, the search team. So are there any questions on that position outline? And if Bud wants to jump in anytime, he can. Art? Oh, I'm sorry, there is a microphone over here too. We have a mic if you care to stand up so we can all hear, and those online can hear the questions.
There's some things that are uncovered that was on Brittany's job description that's not in this one. And then two, I was just curious about the emphasis on getting an MDiv and the need for the education side of the position. Why the need for that much education, I guess.
I'm going to let Bud field that at the moment.
So we talked as a council and also with our worship groups and different people, and the idea here is what ended up happening with the old position is that it was more a contemporary worship position, simply because there wasn't a music education in that candidate. Brittany didn't have the ability to put out different music and stuff like that. What we looked at is this one is moving it more into a worship position and less of kind of worship and small groups. So the first question I caught was, is there anything not in this position that was in the last one? Yes, it would be small groups. This one still oversees frontline because it's a Sunday morning, it's a worship position. So again, when you hire staff, you're not necessarily hiring staff to replace lay leaders. You're hiring staff to work with lay leaders and to empower lay leaders. So I think Pam was here earlier. Is she still here? There she is. She's doing a phenomenal job with frontline.
Yes, she is.
I think, yeah, there's a whole team, but I think what's necessary on staff is to have a point person that could work with Pam and make sure Pam has what she needs, that communication's coming back and forth to staff, and all of that. And so it wouldn't necessarily be saying, okay, Pam's no longer in charge of front lines. It would be somebody who would work on staff with Pam to make sure she has what she needs. She can even increase the capacity of front lines by doing that. The education was the second thing I heard. Theological education isn't required. It was just we had the little thing on the bottom. We could actually add that. Here's my thing with worship, is this position would be more of somebody who can do a blended type of worship, who can work with people who, they don't have to be the choir director, but they could work with a choir director. They could work with, we've had comments on music as far as Sunday morning, that some people, if they're going to sing with the worship band with Tyler, they want the music written out rather than just chord charts, or rather than having it recorded and hear it and play it by ear. They want the music written out. And so this would have somebody who's qualified at being able to transpose, to do all of that, to find all that music and to find the appropriate music for the appropriate parts. I can't go into huge depth about that. I just know that there's more training that's needed in that than even what I have. And so I'm not a musician. And so we want somebody who's more kind of a musician in this role.
In theory, you could have someone with those skills that may not have a bachelor's degree.
Yeah, they may not. They may not.
Skills driven, not education.
Yeah, it may not, but yeah. Usually you have it's a more educated position to know how to do all of that. So, but yeah, you're right. Like any job description, you're kind of prioritizing with who you get and interviews and all that.
Well, I just bring it up because you have to be careful. You might exclude people from applying who have those skills because they didn't have the degree. So you
Right.
have to write the requirements very specific.
Good point. Thanks, Art.
Oh, Art just, I don't know if you heard that, but Art just clarified that if we have a position, if we specify that takes a bachelor degree or so forth, it's not necessarily skill driven. It could be more skill driven rather than educational driven. So we're looking at both sides, but we don't want to exclude anybody from applying for this position. Any other questions out there? This handout goes through this pretty in depth. And part of what Art was asking about was the administration of the worship arts ministry. That's going to, number 7, the pastoral care and discipleship, the disciple musicians and worship art teams, pastoral care and support the musicians. So we're actually, that may not be as in depth as what has been in the past as far as being in charge of the Bible study groups and that kind of thing. But we do have in our council, each one of us has a specific position that we oversee. And one of those is that particular field, and that's Gwen Schultz, by the way. I don't know if she was listening, but the liaison between the council and the Bible study groups and so forth. Any other questions on this? This is a very important position we're trying to come up with, or hoping to fill. We want to, this is an exciting time. We're, again, what Bud had just mentioned, we're looking for someone that can lead a blended type service, as well as, hey, okay, I'm an old guy, and I like some of the old music. And I appreciate the hymns, I appreciate the choir, but I don't want to exclude anybody that may not be in that same category. And I know we're looking to encourage the next generation or two And that's the basis and the future of our church. So we need to move into a direction that we can all get along with. So go ahead.
So it has been on, we're forming an interview team, kind of a search team who will weed through all the resumes and interests that we get. And so we've sent out to the covenant. I have not told the covenant, everything has to be turned in by this date. They haven't posted it yet either, because I just sent it Friday. So. And then there's another website called churchstaffing.com, which I've had in past situations. I've had quite a bit of success of people interested in roles and interviewing for it. So and that's a month to month. So you pay for it for a month to post it, and then they get back. So I'd just do it for a month and see how many we get back. And if we don't, again, the goal is, yes, we want to get it done, but we also want to make sure we find the right match. That's key on staff is not only getting it done in a timely fashion, but find somebody who'd be a good match for Hillmark Covenant. And so I think it's exciting. I think worship's exciting here. I think the idea of, and there's a great group and facility that we could do that with. That we can have a very blended worship and a lot of opportunity for someone. But as you see, it's a highly skilled person that we're looking for too. So, Claiborne, you had a question, and then you went and...
This recommended skills for number 5, certification to drive the church van. I think that's a little bit too much to put on a worship leader. And the reason I say that is that when you're driving a bus, there's so much going on that I think the person, for the reason that we have a group in the bus, is that they need to be in the back and not concerned with driving the bus or dealing with what's going on with the bus and all that stuff. But that's my personal opinion.
We did discuss that in the council meeting, and it actually came from one of the other bus drivers that they wanted us to include that recommendation in with this. So
okay. Hey, I'm just saying that's my opinion, but it's
Excellent.
just how I feel about it, and so.
Yeah.
it is. It is kind of a last resort type of thing. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
They don't want to drive the bus.
We're not going to force them to drive. No. Marilyn.
Okay, I'm up. I was just looking at this number 4, outreach evangelism, and I have a question. What do you mean, speak the language of our culture? What language would that be? Speak the language of our culture in worship gatherings. I just find that, I don't know, wondering what that means. And then also, I just want to be positive here. And I want to say that we can grow this person. This person doesn't have to have absolutely every little thing on here, because that would be a super person.
Yes.
This is a long list. But we can grow that person. I just want to encourage us, and I'm talking to me mostly, that we need to be praying. And this person is out there that can fit for us. And, Dan has spoiled us because he could just kind of fit in and do everything. But he worked into it, and he was young, fresh from college. And this person doesn't necessarily have to be young, but just available and somebody whose personality is outgoing that will want to work with all of our personalities, And I think we just need to pray for that person. And if it's just me alone praying, I just think I need all your support also, that we're all praying. And so add that into your prayer list. Not only this person, which I'm sure you have all been doing. I mostly just want to encourage you. And same thing with a senior pastor. Because I just feel strongly like we lost all last year, and I feel like I've been treading water in the deep end. And I have missed you, and I've missed being together. And I don't like feeling divided like we've become. And also, I just want us to move forward as our church to get back together again, because I don't want to lose us. And I don't want to lose our ministry in our communities. And I don't want to lose our worship and praise with the Lord. So I just, let's get praying, people.
Wow. Amen, Marilyn. Wow. Honey, you need to be up here. Well said. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I have no idea what it means.
Yeah, so what we did was we got other churches' descriptions for their worship pastors, and then, and most of it Modesto Covenant. And then I talked to Mark Krieger, who's the senior pastor at Modesto Covenant. And actually, we talked about that one because I was thinking, do you mean English, Mark, or what? And he said, no, really what we want is somebody who's able to know the culture of our church and how we talk about worship and how we talk about things, and be able to speak that language with us and be able to talk that. Because here's the thing, is you could get 3 churches together and they all 3 worship differently. They all 3 have a totally different style of worship. They all 3 use different language for worship. They all talk about different ways in which we worship. And so really it was important to them to have somebody who can relate to the culture of Modesto Covenant. And I actually agreed with that for Hillmark Covenant. I thought that was a great description of what we're looking for, is somebody who could speak to us and kind of understand us to where and understand back and forth what we're talking about.
I've kind of waited for the question as to why we're picking a worship director first than our senior pastor. So apparently we're good with this, the direction we're moving. And we had a lot of discussion about this whole idea of, how we felt that the worship team, the worship director, even though Tyler's doing a wonderful job, and today I have to commend him. I appreciate everything he says, and his prayers are just phenomenal to me. What he does up front here just touches my heart. So I've so appreciated Tyler. Of course, then he's moving on and going back to school, so we won't have him after June, or what is it? Fall. Not till the fall. Okay, any other questions?
Corollary to what Marilyn said, so we can pray, we need to know where the process is at. So if you're putting out resumes, if you're creating a team, those status updates are things to pray over. Just a communication.
Yes, definitely. We do plan on having this communication go forth out to the congregation as we put the search committee together. As we start to look at resumes and talk to people, yes, that is a definite thing, because we do need and covet the prayers. This is a big decision, so we do covet prayers. And what Marilyn said was right to the heart of this thing. We need to pray and come together. And what Bud was talking about earlier too, it's all we need to be. We need to get out of the doubting kind of situation that we've been in for the last year and a half. We need to be together again as a congregation, as a fellowship, and we need to encourage each other, which we're doing today. This is a wonderful start. Again, sitting, eating together. My gosh, what's a better thing to do to break bread and talk and share and fellowship again with each other. So. Yes, Art, to answer that question, we will be, the continuation of communication will be out there. Someone else had a hand over here, I think. Stephen. Yes, good question. Yes, the team will have diversity. Stephen just asked about the makeup of this search committee as well as the senior pastor search committee. We are looking for diversity as far as age, desire, involvement, and if you're volunteering, excellent.
Yeah, can you
Amen.
What we need to do is repeat. If we're not gonna use the mic, we need to repeat it for people online. So no, that's fine. I'm just reminding Wade of that. So
to remind them to stand up. All right,
but I'll repeat what Stephen said, and it is a huge heart of the council, is have this diversity. And one of the things we talk about, and worship tends to be one of those big areas for churches, is worship creates division in churches. And I think, and I'll tell you right now, I believe that's what Satan wants. Because if you look at Scripture, and you look at how worship functions in Scripture, it unifies God's people. But Satan is using worship to divide God's people, to get us into preferences like you talked about. I prefer hymns, or I prefer chorus, or I prefer praise songs, I prefer orchestra, I prefer bells, I prefer, and we get all of this going. And what we talk about at council and what we've really committed to, and part of the reason for this position, is we don't think we need to tell people that you're no longer a part of our worship strategy. Our worship strategy is only this. And some people have felt that way. They felt that as much as I'm a big outreach guy, I'm a big reach the emerging generations guy, I'm a big let's reach young adults, let's get them empowered. But I don't think you have to tell seniors and people who have a preference of worship that is the word we texted back and forth last night was ancient.
I like seasoned.
Yeah, seasoned. But we don't have to do that. We can go, no, worship is going to be a unifying factor for us. We're going to take advantage of what's being written today, and we're going to take advantage of what's been written 50, 100, 150, 200 years ago. We're going to take advantage of modes of worship that are coming out today and modes of worship that have been going on for decades. And we're going to see all of this come together, because worship isn't about, it's not, we just replaced our old car that got totaled, And so we have Sirius XM in our car, and you could listen to just the U2 channel. Just listen to U2 and songs that influence them. That's not what worship is. We don't go to church and hit a jukebox and go, that's what I want to hear. Worship brings us together in the presence of God. And the only way that's going to happen is exactly what you were saying, is that we celebrate our diversity, we celebrate our multi-generationalness, we celebrate the fact that we're not all from the same background, we're not all from the same place, but we come together to worship God. We come together to worship the risen Savior. And that's what we want in this role. So great. Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks, Stephen.
The one
That's a great
thing we
question.
do, I want to say as
Great
he says
comments.
this, we need members. According to our bylaws, and I don't know if Stephen's a member or whoever, but I'm just going to say this. Yeah, and even online, you have to be a member to serve on one of these search teams. Okay? So if you're going, well, I haven't done membership, it's a hoop, I don't like all that. If you really feel that God is calling you to step forward and serve in this way, we need you to do membership. So don't be surprised if you come to us and go, I want to serve on this team, yet I'm not a member. We have to go, well, we can listen to input, but you can't serve on the team. Okay.
Thank you, Bud. And we are encouraging names. Please send in names. Yourself, if you want to be on this committee, on this selection committee, please send in a name, your name, send it to Bud, send it to myself, send it to the church office. And he's, as we spoke earlier, there have been names coming in, so we will be looking through those. Okay, let's move on to the pastoral search team. Now, this is the real exciting part, which this is on your front page. Again, we're actually, I'm going to have Andy come up. Andy, it's your turn to. You wanted to give the rah-rah. We're on the search. You can do it over there. Yes.
Okay, I'm the board member who is going to be trying to put together this search team, and I'm just, it's a huge responsibility for our church and my little part of it. You know, I believe it's the single most important decision of a generation of Christians in our Hillmark community and surrounding community. You know, we have this role of being the light on this corner, and I want this light to grow. And it's going to take, you know, our head pastor is that person who's going to be leading us. So with that in mind, you know, deeply consider being on this committee. Think about it. Think about what it means to Hillmark and Christianity in Hillmark. Now, I realize that this group is going to be choosing somebody who's going to be impacting Hillmark Covenant for the next 15 years, well beyond where, you know, a lot of us may see. So I really want you to encourage people that person will be leading in the next 15 years to be on this committee. I'm looking for those people from, you know, 20s to 60s to be on this group. They're the group that are going to be mostly impacted by this new pastor. So anyway, we have a huge challenge and a huge opportunity. I just think that we're in a place here right now where in this reopening time, where we see things reopening, that reopening our church and with a new pastor can just be an exciting time for our church, and an exciting time for Christianity in Hillmark. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. And so again, just piggybacking on what Andy just talked about, our this group, this pastoral search team, will need to be a representative group of our church, of the members, reflect the diversity of our church, and the people we hope to, not only feed us as a church or point us in a direction. Well, let me back up. Again, I go back to Pastor Bud here. He has done such a phenomenal job over the last 6-7 months to really, for me anyway, to point out what some of the issues that we have as our congregation. I felt the council is working well together right now, dealing with trust issues, trying to get to know each other better, trying to be able to share information with each other, and then hopefully we get this information out to you, which has been one of the comments, and we're going to do so. When the council got together for our retreat in February, we had the opportunity to really go through, what the strengths of Hillmark Covenant are. And we have a lot of strengths here. We have great people. We have a great facility. I mean, we have God here. God is in this church. And that's what we really need to wrap our arms around, and I feel, and allow the Holy Spirit to just work through us and in us. And I was very encouraged by the discussion and all the talking points that, even though we had these breakdown groups where we were able to write down strengths and weaknesses, and it helps one to focus on the positive. And again, I say we have lots of positives here, and that's what I want to leave today after this meeting. I want to leave that this whole thing is a positive. It's a wonderful opportunity for Hillmark, for our congregation, for us as members, to secure the next 15 years, like Andy says, and who knows, it might be longer. I mean, Bruce was here 30? So, but anyway, so it's just an opportunity to come together, come up with this group, and we're asking that names be submitted, that those of you that want to be on this search team will send them to me as the council chair. My email and phone number. You can text me. Actually, I look at texts a lot better than I look at emails, but either one. It's in the church directory, but I can give that, or maybe we'll have that on the church website.
Yeah, I'm thinking what we'll do is we'll add it to the website. By the way, we've talked a lot about this at council. I don't know how much we've talked about this as a congregation. Megan McNeil is our web developer. She's our webmaster.
Good job,
and
girl.
she does. This is all self-taught. I don't know if you've been on our website, but it is incredible. I get other churches calling me up. They're going, "We're redoing our website, Pastor. Who does your website? We'd like to hire them." And I go, "Well, she's not a webmaster. She's learned how to do this." And so it's incredible. So we'll get it on the website. And we'll get all of these documents too. People online have been asking. We'll get all these documents on the website. I just want to say the goal with this team is to have this team selected by the end of May, so that they've scheduled. If you look at the document, there is a training that's involved. If you notice, there are quite a few requirements. So please don't just go, "I know what we need as pastor, I'm going to jump into this." Make sure you're willing to be a part of a team and working together and discerning together, because this is a long process. You're going to get trained by the conference office. You'll go through that process, and then part of that process too is also coming up with a good definition, or what we call profile, of Hillmark Covenant. because you're looking for a match. Pastors look at the church profile as much as churches look at the pastor's profile. And so there's going to be a match that goes on there, and figuring out, is this, so you need to be accurate, and here's what we're looking for, here's what we're trying to do, here's how we're moving. And so make sure you get that to Wade. You can get it to Andy too. And then you're interested, somebody from the council will talk to you. The council will then put together a recommendation for the pastor search team, in which we will have another one of these meetings. That will be an official business meeting, though, next time, because according to the bylaws of Hillmark Covenant Church, the pastor search team has to be voted on by the congregation. So you'll vote on who's on the pastor search team, and then from then on, the pastor search team functions separately than the council. They don't answer, they give updates. We've talked to X amount of people, and that's about it. They don't give who they're talking to, how, they function. And then once they come up with a candidate for senior pastor of Hillmark Covenant, they will bring that directly to the congregation. According to the bylaws, the search team brings that candidate to the congregation. So that's how it'll happen. And so we're encouraging you to pray about this, think about this, go through this, but also, take it seriously. And it's a huge thing. So.
Yes, take it seriously. That's for sure. Thank you. Thank you, Bud, for that clarification.
Is there a question?
Allison, could you, or we can bring the mic to you.
Okay. It's so fun to see people now.
I can hide in the bushes too.
Well, I've been, when I first got here, I was talking to a camera. It's like, people tell, oh yeah, there's people in this church. You sure? I'm just talking to a camera. So it's nice to see people.
Will the worship team group also be nominated by the church congregation?
No, because it's a director position.
Okay.
It's not. So it's not a vote by the congregation. Council will choose. Yeah. Good question. Good question.
Thank you.
Historically, the congregation has voted on full-time ministerial jobs.
Right. They'll vote on the person, but not the team.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, I had a question.
Yes.
This is just more about timing. The transition period is an important time that we figure out where we are and what we need. And I'm just looking for reassurance, because as we come out of a time of what I would call governance challenges and issues, we lost 2 people, left the council because of issues. Casey shared some issues, and so clearly there's a governance culture dynamic that I'm sure Bud has been a part of. So I'm just I just want to make sure we're not leaving the transition period before we recognize what the issues are. We know how to incorporate that into our senior pastor position call. And so I'm just looking for that assurance and that the timing's right.
Yeah.
Well, as the council chair, I have to say that from what I see, and as we gather each month, and in between times too, talking to each other, I feel that we have become quite unified, and that we have this goal in mind, where many of us are very emotional about what's coming up, the fact of the both positions, and I feel we've as far as the culture of our council, I think we're all, and it's not like we're all in one direction. I mean, I'm not saying that. We are a varied group of people that each has a very distinctive viewpoint, and it's been voiced at the meetings, yet we've been able to come together with commonalities, and it's been a wonderful experience for me. And I'm stepping into this. I just got onto the council this year and then stepped up as chair, and it's been a huge learning experience for me. And I've enjoyed the opportunity to do this. And I think, to answer your question, I think we are very cognizant of your question. And we are, I think the unity is there. And
Yeah.
I'll let Bud.
Yeah, so
And we do.
the transitional pastor has very little, if anything, to do with the next pastor. So in the covenant, there very much is a cut between the two. So what my goal is to work with the council on being able to express disagreement, being able to express opinion, being able to express where God is where they see God at work, but also being able to listen to that in other people's minds. And there's two things that to me are non-negotiable. They're non-negotiable for church. I've talked about them in messages. I've talked about them at council. The two things are, number one, we have to trust one another. We have to believe that we're all seeking God's best for Hillmark Covenant. If we don't do that, let's just pack our doors and go somewhere else. If we can't trust one another, we're not going to go anywhere. Okay? Greater than that, we have to trust that God's at work in here. but that's the trusted piece. The second piece is we have to maintain conversations around mission. Okay? I think that one of the ways churches, we even see it in the letters to the 7 churches in Revelation, that churches lose what their mission is about, and they lose it fairly quickly. I mean, those churches are new churches, and they've lost. One's lost their first love. I don't think they're saying you guys are terrible people. I just think there's the angel saying, look, you're not focused on where you need to be focused. This is your first love. And the other churches, the same thing. They lose sight of mission. And so we need to maintain our mission, which again is, we encourage people to meet Jesus. We equip people to go deeper in their relationship with Christ. And then we empower people to serve others in God's kingdom. Those are the 3 things we do. And when we start talking about things that really don't fit in those 3 things, especially at a council level, that takes up the time that we should be discussing, here's the mission of who we are as a church. And so that's good, and we'll keep on that, but as you know, it takes a long time to change culture. And it's going to take work and take time. So great point, though, Art. We'll keep on that.
So you're comfortable handing it off?
I am. I actually feel I feel really good about this, about the council. I was kind of a little nervous going into it because we formed a council and I didn't even know anybody. So I was leaning on those who were on the nominating committee, and I just said, here's the process, and let them pray about it, let them discuss it, let them talk about it. And I just facilitated their discussions in the midst of that, and then we came to a conclusion on that. We forwarded people different, and I think God really worked in that. So.
And one of the key words, or the key word to me, is the prayer part. We need to be praying. We have so much to pray about, and this is a huge thing for our church and for each one of us. I'm kind of at loss of words at the moment because I'm getting a little emotional too about some of this stuff. So are there any more questions about this portion? Because we're gonna move on to something I know someone here is very excited about. Kendra is. Yes. So on your last page there, we're talking about Pastor Theo's renewal leave, which is set to start on June 28th and go basically through August 8th. A couple weeks prior and after, and a little vacation in between. And I know Kendra is, yes. I'm sure the kids are very excited too. I know Theo's excited. And then he'll be, and Keith's excited about it.
So to highlight this is really a 3-week renewal. It's not, that whole time is not renewal. Part of that is vacation for Pastor Theo. He has already. It's really just, it's 3 weeks to allow him to decompress and re-prepare himself and re-enter a routine of ministry with no school. Huh? He graduates. There you go. And he's got a family who gets their father back. He has a wife who gets her husband back. And he has a ministry.
Only temporary, though.
Yeah.
Only temporary.
Well, no, and then he has a ministry that really gets a youth pastor who's not just teaching what he's learning in seminary, but is actually striving and learning in life and all of that too. So it's a neat time to give Theo. It's I think a great gift for him. I also look back as I look back before I got here, so much of what Hillmark Covenant was doing was dependent upon Theo and and the staff and what they were working on, especially during Casey's sabbatical, and then after Casey resigned and all that. A lot of this fell on Theo's desk, and so I know because he came into my office with a big box when I first started and said, "Here, now it's yours." And no, just kidding. He's been entirely gracious as I've come in, and so really and we want to do it before the next pastor comes, because we don't want him to be exhausted when the next pastor comes and he's like, we want him to be refreshed, ready to go, ready to help that person. Because believe it or not, when a new person comes, they stumble a whole lot because they don't know the culture of the church that they're in. And they're trying to figure that out. And Theo and the rest of the staff have been important to that for me. So.
And I do have to, I appreciate one portion in here that Theo put down as far as being able to attend Gianna's On Your Toes dance recital. I think that's pretty cool. And then it'll be a great time for them to reconnect with parents and so forth on their vacation part. So if there's any questions along Theo's renewal leave, we will entertain those. Oh, there is no question. Yes.
We're not voting. This isn't a business.
We're not voting. Let's do it. I agree. Let's go home. Oh, Lloyd's got a question. And then we'll go home.
I won't keep you very long. I just want to thank Wade for standing up there today and doing this. I want to thank Pastor Bud for being here. It's been a real pleasure on the council with him.
Yes.
I've learned a lot. My eyes have been opened a lot. My mind's changed a lot. There's things coming down the line we're talking about going on that's going to happen around here. I think we got an opportunity to be the big wheel on the corner. And while the building's always been here, let's make the people and have Christ follow with us. Or he'll lead us, and then we'll follow him.
Amen, Lloyd.
These committees, get off your duffs, get on a committee. Get on the both of them, both for the worship leader and a pastor. Pastor important. Again, I'm on the council. I don't want to be on any of them. I'm on that council enough, but I did want to get up here and just say thanks to Wade for taking this over.
Thank you, Lloyd.
On his first time around, and I'm really tickled he's there. But
Thank you.
Committees, get on the search committees. We need to help. And the only way we're going to get it done and the only way we're going to move forward is if we all do it. So
Amen.
get your people up there. I'm done.
All right, thank you. And thank you all. Give yourself all a hand.
So be ready. The next one will be a business meeting because we will have voting that needs to be done.
Submit your names, please. Thank you, bud. Thank you. Oh. Thank you for holding me up.